Hey, what's up guys, this is Theo from Fino Concepts. So today we are animating the wallpaper we created. So let's just open up After Effects. Now, as After Effects is loading up, I would like to inform you that I'll be speeding up a little bit because this tutorial is going to cover a lot. So if you want an in-depth tutorial on how to use Adobe After Effects, let me know in the comments below, and probably we can create a tutorial on this. Maybe just like the Adobe Photoshop and WordPress, we can also get a PDF for that. So let's just get started. Welcome to Fino Concepts. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Okay, so this is the Adobe After Effects interface. Now, if this is your first time opening it, then you are going to be greeted with this prompt. So we are going to just create a new project. So I'll click on new project. Now, the main difference between yours and mine right now is probably the effects and presets, which is over here for mine. Yours is probably hiding somewhere here, but I like to keep mine on the left side right next to the project. So I'll just do that right now. So let's just get that out of the way. So what we are going to do is create a new composition. So I'll click on composition and I'll just leave everything the way it is. So for the width and height, I'm just using the 1080p resolution, and the background doesn't really matter. The duration is set to 10 seconds and I'll just click on OK. So what we'll do is we import all of our images from our previous video. So I'll just quickly grab it. I saved everything onto my desktop, so I'll just grab it from the desktop. So I'll highlight everything, then I'll just click and drag it over here to the project. Now there's another way of importing your files. You can just double click on the empty space here, then you select your file. So let's select animate this sound, which is the intro. I'll select it here. Now to create a composition, apart from using the first part, you can also click on this new create composition icon right here, or you can just click and drag an image or a video, whatever it is in here, then it's just going to create that composition for you. So I'll just highlight everything, including the sound, and I'll just click and drag this over here. Now because this is a video tutorial and I don't want it to interfere with the resolution, I'll just increase the I'll decrease the resolution to about 1/3, so that don't be bothered if it looks a little bit blurry. I'm just trying to conserve CPU power. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn everything off. So I'll be turning them on one after the other so that you can see. So this is our background, this is our gradient overlay, this is the logo we have. You know what, let's just work with half logo we have. So I'll quickly press enter and call this logo. So to move the logo around, you can just use the move tool, which is up here, or the selection tool, then you just move it wherever you want to put it. But I don't want to go with that. I'll just press I'll just click on this arrow right here. I'll go to transform. Then in transform, I'm looking for position. So position, we have the x-axis, we have the y-axis. So if I move it along the y-axis, you can see what is happening. If I move it along the x-axis, you can see what is also happening. So I'll go ahead and undo that. Now what I want to do is actually move this over to the top somewhere here, just like in the logo. So just like in our logo, that's what I'm going to attempt to do right now. So for the logo, I'll just transform it over here. Now if you want to just quickly go to the position panel, all you have to do is press P on the keyboard, and that will be much simpler rather than going through all of this. So I'll press enter and call this social icons. So I'll press P on the keyboard and let's position this somewhere around here and bring it down a little bit. So maybe here is okay. Now let's turn on the next one. So this is what I'm going to do for the rest. So I'll fast forward probably around here. So let's just do that. Okay, so for these three layers, which are supposed to be at the bottom, I'll just press shift. So I'll select the bottom one, I'll press shift and I'll select all of them. Then I'll press P on my keyboard. then I'll just click and drag all of them to the bottom. So I'll just have to work with one and it is going to affect all of them. So if I select the center one or the bottom one, you see that it affects all three. That's because all three is selected. Now I'll just hide them up. So I'll highlight the last one, call this slogan. Then I'll bring up the position, so I press P and I'll move this right around here. It's okay. So you know what, let's just work with our first line. I'll bring it a little bit up, then I'll put the position of this also here. Okay, so this is what we are having. Now if we try to play this, you can hear the sound alright, but there's no animation, so we have to start animating it. So I'll just play for the first part so that I can get where this movement should stop. Okay, so the movement should stop right around here, and that's for these three. So I'll just highlight all three of them, press P for position, and I'll create a keyframe for all of them. So I'm expecting them to probably at this portion everything should show up. So I'll go to the first, at 0 seconds, then I'll move them to the bottom. I want to hide them, so they should start moving so that when they get to this part everything should show. That's what I want. But now you can see that all of them are moving at the same pace. We don't want that. So what I'll do is, probably when I get here, I'll just change this keyframe. I'll bring this over here. When I get here, I'll just click and drag this over here as well. So this is what we are getting. The first one will slide in, then the second will follow, then the third will also follow. So let's run preview this and see that. So you can see this is quite slow, but as always, if you want to speed it up, you just have to just move the keyframes around. So something like this, and probably you should just make it 1 second. So something like this is okay for me. Now the next thing I would like to do is, you know what, I'll just delete the mp3 so that it doesn't interfere with our work. Okay, now the next thing is to animate the logo. So for the logo, I'll make sure that nothing is selected. I mean, no layer is selected, and just that one you can just click on any portion, any empty layer right here. So I'll grab my rectangle tool, which is right here. If you don't have the rectangle tool, just click and hold on it. Other options are going to pop up. So I'll just select the rectangle tool and I'll just draw a rectangle just over the logo. So just over the logo, it doesn't have to be too much, just over the logo is okay. So what I'll do is I'll just click and drag this layer, shape layer, obviously I'll put it on top of the logo, and I'll click on, if you have this, if you have it in this way, just click on toggle switches. So I'll click on that, and now we have these three other options here. What I want to do is, with my logo layer selected, I'll change this to alpha matte layer 1. So that is going to hide the layer. So it's more or less like a layer mask on top of the logo. So if I bring up position for the logo, you can see that anytime I move it away, the logo is always showing where the layer, the shape layer we created is. Now this is what we want. So what I want to do is I want to rotate this logo, at the same time scale it. So for rotate, I'll press R on the keyboard. Now I want it to rotate probably at the center here. So at the center here, I'm expecting it to be like this. So for the first part, probably 1 second, I would like it to rotate at 90 degree. Then I'll press S for scale. Sorry about that. I'll create a keyframe first, then I'll press S for scale. I'll create a keyframe. Then I want the scale to be 150, so I want it to be a little bit bigger, like this. So if I move to probably in between 1.5 seconds, so somewhere around here, then the scale, I'll turn it back down to 100. Then for the rotation, I'll change it back to 0. So you can see we are getting something like this. Just after the layers move in, the logo also comes in like this. So this is looking nice to me, and we just have to apply the same effect onto the shape. So with the logo layer selected, I'll press U so that all the keyframes will show. I'll go ahead and copy these keyframes. So I'll press U, Control C to copy. Then for the shape layer, I'll press R. I'll create a keyframe. I'll press S for scaling. I'll create a keyframe. So if I press U, we have these two keyframes for the shape. So I'll quickly paste it in here. So we are getting the same thing. Now if this is too much for you, you can always create it on your own. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So for the rotation, first of all, at the beginning is set to instead of making it 90, I'll actually make it negative 90 so that it will be moving in the opposite direction. Now you can see this is moving in another direction, a weird direction we don't want. If you are not getting this, let me create one here and make this 0. So this is what I mean. You can see that it is moving over this particular axis. We don't want it that way. So what we will do is quickly undo that. Now with the shape layer, you can see that if I zoom in, the anchor point is over here. We don't want it to be at the bottom. Other than that, every movement you do, probably especially when it comes to rotation, is going to be rotating around this axis. We don't want that. So you just click on this anchor point tool here. You can press Y on your keyboard to bring it up, and I'll just click and drag this anchor point to the center. So let's go back and fit this to the screen. So now if I rotate this at 90 degrees, it is just at the center. So let's just move to 1.5 frames or 1.5 seconds. Then I'll change this back to 90. Sorry, I'll change it back to 0. So this is what we are getting. Now that is nice to me. So for the scale, I created a scale for this. So in the beginning, I want the shape to be smaller. Then as it is getting to the end, it should be bigger. So for the scale for this time around, I'll just use probably 10 or 15. So it is smaller. Then as it is increasing, it becomes bigger. So this is what we are getting. Now if I run preview this, you can see from here. Okay, so we are done with the logo. Now apart from that, let's quickly hide the shape. So apart from that, there's a slight glow over the, well, there's a distort over the logo first before the glow. So let's just go to effects and presets, and we'll type in displacement. So we are working with the displacement map. So you can just click and drag this onto the logo, or you can just double click. Either way is going to be fine. So I'll press U to show all the keyframes. I want to actually see what I'm doing. So what I'll do is I'll click and drag the timeline to somewhere around here, and I'll create a time frame for all of this. Keyframe, sorry, not time frame. I'll create a keyframe for them. Then I'll go back to the beginning, and I'll change this to 0, and I'll change this to 0. So it starts from 0, then you can see that the shape actually moves in. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you can see that the shape will move away from each other. Then we are expecting it to come back. So at 3 seconds, it should come back. So at 3 seconds, I'll change it again to 0, 0. So you can see it starts from 0, it moves to 5, then goes back to 0. Now, if you want to make this a little bit more dramatic, you can increase it to right around 10 for both the top and the bottom, or you can just quickly grab this and move it somewhere here. So we are getting something like this very fast. Okay, now after this is also done, then the moment this is created over here, then the build, create and design also pops up. So that is this, the slogan. So all I'll do is I'll just click and drag this over here. Now holding down shift, it will just snap in when I get here. So the build, create and design is completely vanished. When we get here, after the movement, then it comes in. So I will probably bring it somewhere around here. So just as it start moving, then it comes in. Good. Okay, now after that, we are expecting a glow over the shape. That is our logo. So I'll quickly go to effects and presets and I'll search for glow. Now I'll apply the glow by double clicking instead of clicking and dragging. So let's just hide the displacement map and work with the glow. So for the glow radius and intensity, now it's set to 1 and it's set to 10 and 1 respectively. So all I'll do is at the end, or let's just start with at the beginning, which is somewhere around here, I'll create a keyframe for the glow radius and the glow intensity, and I'll just work with 0. So they start at 0, then at 4 seconds they move all the way up to 15 2. So you can see that from 0 they just move to 15. So let's just bring that up so I can see what I'm doing. So this is for the glow intensity and radius. So you can see from 0 it moves to 15. Then we are expecting it to come back down. So somewhere around here, I'll go back and change this to 0 0. So you can see it comes in, then it vanishes as very fast. Okay, now the moment this comes in and vanishes, we are expecting our 2 lines to also pop up. So let's just go to where the lines are. So line 1 and line 2, I'll quickly select both of them. I'll press P on the keyboard to access their position. I'll create a keyframe for their position. So you realize that you just have to work with one. So at this portion, probably around here, when the glow is coming in, I want to animate this over to this portion. So probably around here, I'll just click and drag this over here. Then I'll also start from here, the center. Then I'll move their position to the top. So I want them to come from the top. Now, apart from, let's quickly hide this by pressing U again. Apart from they just moving, there's also an opacity change. So for the first frame, to create an opacity for both of this, you just press T. T will bring up opacity. Then I'll create a keyframe for the opacity. I'll start with 0. Then as they are moving towards where we want them to be, I'll just change it back to 100. So you can see that they start over 0, then they appear gently. So as the glow is appearing, they are also appearing. So right around here is okay. Now the next thing, which is the social media icon and our handle. Okay, so I'll quickly select that, which is social media icon and name. So I'll press P again. I'll bring up the position. So initially we want, for the end, I want the position to be the same, but for the beginning, which is right here, I want the position of this one, the name, to be somewhere here. So it should move from the left, and for the social media icons, they should come from the right. So something like this is okay. Now what I'll do is I'll press T for opacity. Again, I'll create a keyframe for that, and I'll press U to show both of them so that I can use my position as a reference for the opacity. So as they are coming in over here, then I'll increase the opacity to 100. So currently the opacity is set to 100. So for both beginning and end is set to 100. Now we want the beginning to start at 0. So I'll move over to the beginning and I'll change it to 0. So you can see that it fades in gently. So this is what we are getting so far. So let's quickly run this and see. Okay, so you can see this is a little bit too slow, but like I said, if you want to make it fast, just bring the keyframes closer to each other. But I'm not going to be doing that. I just want to show you how I created this. So over at 6 seconds, there's something probably some of you may not have realized, but it's actually there, and that is a lens flare moving from one direction to the other. So I'll just quickly create a new solid. So you click on anywhere outside the layers, then you click on new, then you click on new solid, or you can just go to layer, new, and click on solid. Now I'm going to set the color to total black, so black will be somewhere around here or here, wherever you choose to pick it from, and I'll click OK. Now again, the dimensions, I'm just going to leave it just as the composition, and I'll click OK. So you can see this is our solid color, or you can call it the layer. It is on top of the entire composition. So I want to add in a flare, that's the lens flare. So over here, lens flare, you can click and drag over here, or you can just double click. With this layer selector, you can just double click, it was going to apply. So I'll start from the beginning. I want the lens flare to start from here, then I'll move over to the end of the clip, and I want the lens flare to, sorry, you actually have to click from this icon, not from here. So I'll start from this icon, then I'll move the lens flare over to this end. So if I preview this, I'm getting, oh sorry, I didn't create a keyframe for it. That's why it's not showing. So for the top, I'll create a keyframe, that is the flare center. Then I'll move over to the end, then I'll click and drag over here. So currently, if I press U, you can see we have two keyframes, one here and one at the end. So if we quickly run this, you can see that this is what we are getting. Okay, in case some of you didn't realize, this is also there. So what I'll do is, just like Photoshop, you have to change the blend mode because it's dark. You have to change the blend mode to screen. So if your options are set to this, just click on toggle switches, and this is going to pop up. Now change from normal to screen. There are a few others. You can also use the color dodge, blah blah blah, but just work with screen for this one. So you can see if we run preview this, the lens flare, which is somewhere around here at the moment, is just passing over our shape, then everything is appearing. So basically that's how I created this logo animation, and this is our intro for the time being until we change it. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like to watch more of our videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. Again, if you have any comments about this video, please leave it in the comment section below. And if you want the Adobe Photoshop tutorial, everything I know so far, just let me know in the comment below and we'll create that. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.